Fam, what's going on? It's Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Thank you very much for joining me. Tonight, coming to you on Sunday, September 24, 2023, Alabama defeats Ole Miss 24-10. It was a win that I think catapults this team on the right trajectory. It was a win that I think helps this team get their mind right. It was a win that garnered people's attention. What's up, Jarvis? I see you in the comment box. Let's go. So tomorrow, here's the schedule. And here are things that might happen on the show. We already have a caller that is called in, 205-850-1994. But here's what might happen on the show. Common things that might happen because we live in the world of the internet. If I somehow lose connection, I will hit the pause button and I will reconnect and then I will come back on. Okay? What's up, DeMarco? It's been a minute, man. Hope you call in. That might happen. We won't freak out. We will handle it. Everything will be okay. The schedule for Monday reads like this. I got a media availability. What is a media availability? That means that we have an opportunity to speak to a coach, a player, or two coaches. So what does that mean? I'll be able to watch the Alabama basketball team for 15 minutes. And I know this is Bama Football on YouTube. So what I'm going to do, and I've never done this in my career, is I've never really given the coverage to basketball that they deserve. Since I now run the channel, I'm going to give you coverage on Alabama basketball. Channel's going to be the same. We're just going to add basketball when basketball season comes. I don't think there's really been anyone in this space to give basketball that high level detail. Last year, they were number one, There was a lot of times that I felt I should be covering the Nate Oates press conference or talking to the players. That's going to happen this year. It is still football is going to drive the channel, but basketball, when in season and when available, I'm going to bring that to the channel. So at 10:15, I will have basketball practice footage, and then I will have the Nate Oates press conference. And then from there, I will head on over and talk to Nick Saban for his 12 p.m. press conference. And then after that, you will hear from Jalen Milroe. So you have Nate Oates, Nick Saban, Jalen Milroe. So it's a busy day on Monday. And then I got some more special things lined up later on Monday afternoon. And then Monday night is the coaches show. You got Coach Smook, you got Coach Jerick, and you got Coach Sean. Tonight is the call-in show, 205-850-1994. What we do on the call-in show is you call in, you give me your take about Alabama football, we rap, we chop it up, and I appreciate you guys being here. I think this was a monumental win, honestly. And I know that's a big word to use for the fourth game of the season, but you had to win. You had to win that game. There was no way that you could lose to Lane Kiffin. There was no way that you could lose consecutive games at Bryant-Denny Stadium. A loss would have been monumental. A loss would have derailed this team. That was a big win, and the guys played really well. We go to our first caller of the night, and it's a 256. Let's get it. Are you on the line with Kyle Henderson? Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
How you doing, Kyle? This is Boots.
Hey, what's up,
Lake
Boots?
Gunnersville.
You're the first in line, man. Yeah, good to hear from you. Go ahead, man. Take it away.
I tell you what, it worked out about like we thought. I know Jalen was going to be a little rusty out of having a week off, so it took him a minute to get going. But I think we're back rolling now. But one thing I like to say is, if you look back, Kyle, into all the quarters we've played, the fourth quarter of the Texas game, the only game, and they've been on the field all day. Mm-hmm. This defense is good. Now, when they blitz, and that's the thing. Did you see them, Kyle bringing 6, 7? That's what you do. Don't let no. If a guy can throw, you can't do that. I mean, you just actually can't. You got to put pressure on him. So you see how that worked out. Now they can't go down at Mississippi State thinking that boy that won't cut him apart because he will. And they need to get in there on him. And any word about that Lawson?
Yeah,
kid?
so
Is he gonna be okay? You think?
so that's and we're on with Boots from Lake Gunnersville. I appreciate you guys checking in. What's up to everybody inside the comment box? Kyle Henderson and Bama Football on YouTube. I see you, Jim. I see you, Jackie, Eli, Kyle Banks. What's up? Nice name, Kyle Banks. So Boots is asking about Deontay Lawson. Deontay Lawson, very talented inside linebacker for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, the detail on him from Coach Saban last night was that basically he has a high ankle sprain and he's going to be out for some time. What does some time mean? I don't know. The reason I would be optimistic when you're talking about a high ankle sprain is that Jeff Allen and the Bama Sports and Science Center that Alabama has right next to the football center does miraculous things. They're able to, it's not like you or I or somebody else gets a high ankle sprain. That takes a long time. They have state-of-the-art facilities to get these players good and to go. So high ankle sprain, I don't like it. But I think that he's going to be out against Mississippi State. Again, I don't know that for sure, but probably knowing a high ankle sprain. Subbing in for him would probably be Jahad Campbell, Trezor Marshall, and Kendrick Blackshire, who I thought played fantastic. So there's a lot of guys in that inside linebacker room that can really step up in place of Deontay Lawson, but you can't replace him. He's too good. He's the signal caller of the defense. It will be tough on the defense not to have him against Mississippi State, but their guys will be able to step up behind him. What else you got, Boots?
Well, shoot, that old number 30 there that we had, that number 30 Kyle looks pretty good now. Now, listen, I hope to see you down at old Stark Vegas. I was going to try to arrive Friday about 12, but my wife got to work, so I'm going to be down there probably about 6 that afternoon.
Yeah, well, the game's at
I know you're going.
The game's at.
It's in Stark Vegas. Vegas.
Yeah, it's in Stark Vegas, and it's late too.
Yeah, that's okay. yeah, but I'll be down there at 6 o'clock Friday. So I like to do the tailgating that morning. So we'll get up and go eat breakfast and go over to the stadium and talk crap to them until they can't take it, and then go in there and beat them down.
Yep.
Then go in there and beat them down. But anyway, Kyle. Are you going to be at the game? Or
you know what?
Are you going to be able to beat?
I'm going to make a game time decision for Stark Vegas. So I have a beautiful 10-year-old daughter that'll be with me. So it's a late game. So I try not to miss any of the games, but sometimes if it's late and I got my kids, so I might have to make a game time decision. So Boots, I appreciate you calling in. Yeah. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll catch up with you next time. Enjoy Stark Vegas. All right, Boots might have to do if Boots is going, he might have to do the post-game rap for me, right? You guys cover the game. You guys call in. All right, we got a super chat in. I can live, this is from Jarrell Franklin. I can live with the play of Milroe. He's going to make mistakes, but we just need everyone around him to play good. Less penalties and mental errors. The game should have been at least 35-10. I appreciate the super chat, first of all. Thank you very much. I think when you look to the penalties that this team has had, I think they have been what Saban calls drive killers. And you have to eliminate those drive killers because they take points off the board. And you had 10 points taken off the board against Texas. And you had, let's call it, 4 points taken off the board against Ole Miss. And what I say about that is they got a field goal when it should have been a touchdown. Jalen Milroe should have just been able to fall into the end zone, but there was a missed snap. There's been a couple penalties on this team. How many touchdowns? 5 touchdowns have been taken away from this team this year. 5 touchdowns in 4 games. So those things certainly need to be addressed, cleaned up. And like I said earlier, that this team has not played 4 quarters of football by any means. We got new members in the house. Bama Man 76, thank you very much for becoming a YouTube member and live life large. I like that username. How do you become a member of this YouTube channel? You go to the homepage, Bama Football on YouTube, and you hit the join button. It's next to the subscribe button, and we appreciate it. There's different levels, and we appreciate you guys being here. My name is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube, coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We got a 470 on, and we'll take it right now. Hey, good evening. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey Kyle, how you doing, baby? We finally been able to connect, man. It's been a minute. It's DeMarco, man.
Hey, what's up, DeMarco? I appreciate you, man. So DeMarco is a long-time caller. DeMarco has seen the channel grow up and down, and DeMarco hit me up this morning. He was like, "Hey, what time are you going live?" And I originally thought to go live at 9 this morning, and then I changed it to 10. So DeMarco, I appreciate you joining the evening show. There's a lot to talk about. Alabama now 3-1 going into their second SEC game against Mississippi State. Take it away.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's definitely been a long time coming. I love seeing the show with Mick and all the folks, and I love to kind of see the direction you're taking it, the way you're handling the practices. We didn't really get a lot of that to the nature in which you're delivering it now. I know you kind of did a lot of recap stuff, a lot of recruiting kind of intel. We kind of had that in there with Boone and others, but I'm really liking how you're kind of doing it all. So continue to do that. And I did love the basketball coverage as well. So hopefully that keeps going. But, as we talk about the football team, a couple of major things. Number one is, I don't like when I watch games and I hear commentators say, well, penalties and certain things are uncharacteristic of Alabama. And I say, well, yeah, if you juxtapose that against the last 10 to 15 years, you could say that. But it's all about what have you done for me lately. And over the last 3 years, the things that we were seeing on the field, they are characteristic of Alabama. We aren't able to disposition a guy from the start of the line of scrimmage. We aren't able to consistently play a game without being penalized. So that is within our characteristics. That is what we've shown our fans. That's what we showed our opponents. And so I think that is something that needs to be addressed moving forward. And, it's easier said than done. Obviously, this is a different type of generation. This is a different type of athlete. This isn't the guys of old. I mean, look at the guys. They're out there with green mouthpieces, neon-colored mouthpieces that aren't even in. Back in the day, those mouthpieces were black, white, maybe crimson. They were in. You know what I mean? You guys were physical, played through the whistle. But they played with emotion, but they weren't emotional players. And I think guys figured out what they needed to do day in and day out to continue to add value in a positive manner for themselves and for the program and things of that sort. So that's the first thing I wanted to kind of mention. I think the other thing is that's kind of challenging is I don't think up front on either side we're where we want to be. I don't think it's a stretch to say Dallas Turner isn't quite what we built him to be, given what we saw last season and in flashes before that. And some of that is just because he had a monster on the other side. So that person took up so much attention that he maybe got more favorable matchups. But he flashed a lot last year, and through 3 or so games against relatively okay competition, like even against Texas, I didn't see a single lineman on Texas's offensive line that I felt like could single-handedly handle Dallas Turner all game long. And they made some strategic things with getting the ball out, but he hasn't quite been what I thought he was going to be. Chris Braswell and others haven't quite been there, but I'm impressed with what I see on the back end. I am impressed with the physicality, the way the defense flies around. I think they're missing that pass rush thing that we kind of need to get going. So that's there as well. And then obviously the elephant in the room, no pun intended, Jalen Milroe. I mean, let's just call it like it is. He played okay Saturday, but watching Jalen Milroe and this team is like watching a crop duster try to ascend and level itself out. It's fucking terrible. I mean, but if you watch a Boeing 757 take off and level itself out once it gets to cruising altitude, it's good. It's fine. I think we're like a crop duster right now, trying to get up and going. And I think we got some ways to go. Those are my first three things. What are you thinking there, Kyle? And, we'll talk on a couple other things real quick.
Yeah, well, I think, a couple points. Like the whole mouthpieces and like kind of the disarray and stuff like that doesn't really bother me. I think that this team is trying to find its own identity within itself. And I think that is starting to formulate a little bit better. And I think the reason that people were kind of nitpicking at that stuff is because this team was performing poorly. So you start to make things scapegoats, right? You start to point fingers at things that might not even be, attributed to what's on the field play, right? And that was just poor execution in that second part of the game. Dallas Turner, I disagree with your assessment because I think he didn't perform to the standard against Texas. Nobody did on the defensive side.
Yes.
And I don't know if I was kind of like the Jimmies and the Joes or the X's and O's up top. But something changed. And Lane Kiffin said it himself because he saw something different within the defense. And the defense completely changed in that second half of the Ole Miss game because Dallas Turner turned into an absolute lion. And his performance in the second half, as well as the whole defense, that was the defense that we've been looking for. And I think that defense that we saw in the second half gives me a lot of confidence in this team overall because the old adage, defense wins, whatever. Sure. But the point is this defense has showed signs in the second half that they can play to that level to win marquee games. Ole Miss, their offense is squirrely. They're dangerous. That quarterback's a menace. And if you can't stop Lane Kiffin early on, I mean, you're going to have trouble. That team's scoring. They were coming to that game scoring 52 points a game. That was fourth in the entire country. Dallas Turner had 3.5.
They did last season too.
That's what I'm saying. Dallas Turner had 3.5 tackles for loss. Yeah. He had 2 sacks. The entire team had 8 quarterback hurries, and they had 5 sacks. That is upwards. That is trajectory that is going upwards. Yeah. So, but this is it, DeMarco. Which team is going to show up against Mississippi State? Which team is going to show up against Texas A&M? They have not played an entire 4 quarters. That's why I'm optimistic as well, because I think that they can. And when they do put 4 quarters of play, it's going to be a team that is very difficult to beat for anybody in the country should that offense catch fire. Your other point regarding Milroe. Yes. Look, Milroe, I think that what we saw from him on Saturday against Ole Miss was a big step forward. And I'll tell you why. I think that that interception should not have happened, right? That was a forced pass, and Coach Saban even said that Ole Miss did some different coverage where they're underneath, and that was confusing. But we all know, like he shouldn't have thrown the ball. Period. Like the 3 interceptions are terrible interceptions. Nobody is going to justify any of those interceptions. However, the kid continues to stay. He stayed in the pocket in the second half, and he made 2 marquee throws. The one to Jermaine Burton, that was a great throw, and I'm glad that they finally took a shot downfield. And then his touchdown pass to Jalen Hill was great. That was big time. And when you're going to contribute at a high level in college football, you got to be able to stay in the pocket and make that big time throw. Those are things that he has done very well, and his deep ball has been really, really, really good. The intermediate stuff, hopefully that can get fixed. And if he finds a way to get some rhythm and, maybe there's more creativity to where he can start to improve, he's going to be a very dangerous quarterback because he's one tackle away from breaking an 80-yard run every single time he takes off. With that said, I don't think he forced too many bad balls on Saturday, and his efficiency rating was really, really good. Make a couple more points, DeMarco, because I got other people in the call queue.
Yeah. No, I think you're spot on. I think what we saw from I like the play calling a little bit better from Tommy Rees in terms of, hey, just direct snap it, power run it. Let's run the quarterback draw. Let's let him do some things that he's kind of great at doing. And, let him ease his way in and get comfortable. I think the reason he struggles with the intermediate throws is because there's a lot of things you have to anticipate and kind of understand advantage throws and things of that nature. And when he had a very simple one on the left in the end zone where he threw the pick, it's simple. Jermaine Burton's in the flat. I mean, you put that ball, that upfield shoulder going towards the sideline, carry him out of bounds if you have to. It's a 3-4 yard, 5 yard completion. We're good. You force it, they're running a trap underneath, you force it into 2 for what reason? So I think when he's got to do over processing, it makes it challenging. The reason why I think he has success on the deep ball is because it's clear. It's drawn up. This is a shot. This is the guy we're throwing the ball to. We've seen it. We've set it up. This is the throw. So it allows him to just kind of put it out there and let a guy run underneath it. So I think that's why he has success there. The other reason why I think we have some inconsistent success when we run the football in particular is because the defense is like, hey, if they're not going to really throw the football, let's force pressure in the box with the run game. And I think our offensive line, they're better in run blocking than pass blocking. I think they're just a little big, a little heavy. Caden's big, and Latham's big. So I think they do better when it's time to just move a man and run blocking, which I think is what they've really been talking about all season that they would prefer to do. And it sounds like that's what their strength is. However, when it's time to pass block, whether it's Jalen not picking up on certain blitzes and what the defense is doing, or them just not communicating, we don't seem to have a lot of success. And again, like you touched on a big point earlier, some of this could be schematic because something happened in that second half. And you're right, Dallas did flip a switch. But just through those first couple of games, and maybe that's why Lane said what he said, it was like we played, 2-3 games, we had no sacks. No sacks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that we couldn't even touch Quinn Ewers, and yet they were all over us. But I never felt like Texas offensive or defensive line was a whole level above ours. Like I never got that feeling, so I was confused, a little perplexed as to why we didn't have some success. But overall, I like what I saw from the defense. Really, even in the Texas game, I didn't think that the defense did anything throughout this season that made me have concern. I think we, got a little sloppy. Tyrion Arnold got a little sloppy in the Texas game. He was beat a couple of times. But I like our defense. Our offense, I think, is a work in progress, but we got some threats on the outside. We got to use them. We got to keep the ball on the ground. Jam Miller will be out the first half of next week, so let's see how that shakes out. I'd love to see Kendrick Blackshire get in there at the linebacker spot. And Amari Nightblack, I like to see him keep progressing. And then shout out to the kicking game and special teams. Like that was a pinch point for us, and now no one even talks about it. It's like Will Riker goes out there and we think it's automatic now. He's just that damn good. So
hey, I appreciate you calling in, DeMarco. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Calling again next time. All right.
All right, brother.
All right, real tight to you, man. All right. DeMarco from the ATL calling in to lead off the show. Actually, it was Boots that called in from Lake Guntersville. So we went from Lake Guntersville all the way to Atlanta. What's up? It's Kyle Henderson at Bama Football on YouTube. Hey, did you guys see that the Dolphins scored 70 points today? That they beat Denver 70-20? Who was on the sticks, right? Did you see that? I was just looking up Tua's stats. So Tua he was 23 of 26. Jeez. 309 yards with 4 touchdowns. Let's see. Tyreek had 157 yards at 9 receptions. Mostert, former 49er, I had to throw that in. 7 receptions for 60 yards. Man, that's crazy. That was without Waddle, right? Yeah, crazy. 70 points. That's unbelievable. Dolphins, man. And remember they were saying like Tua couldn't throw the deep ball or whatever? I'm telling you what. You guys remember. I'll get to my callers in just a second. When Tua was here and he threw the deep ball, it was like a little angel had thrown the ball. Like I'd never seen such touch on a pass before, right? Mac was different. Mac could control the game. He had some good zip on it. He was sleepy, athletic. Tua just threw like this incredible ball. Jalen was just a baller. And then Bryce was just the ninja back there, right? And was like just incredible run. And now you got Jalen Milroe taking on. What will be his legacy? All right, we go back to the phone lines. 615, let's get it. I appreciate you calling in. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Kyle, hey, what's going on, man? This is David from Nashville. How are you?
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for calling this evening. I was just talking about Tua posting 70 on the Broncos. Milroe has a solid showing. Alabama back on track. This week they take on Mississippi State. I didn't see a line. What's the line for Mississippi, Alabama? Post it in the comment box, please, if you see it. All right, fam. We're on with David from Nashville. Take it away.
No, man, I just, and by the way, no joke, there's somebody shooting fireworks for reasons I have no idea why. So if it sounds like gunshots are going off around me, it's not, it's fireworks.
It's the USA, man. You just light fireworks whenever you want. Just celebrate.
That's right. I love it. Now, so I was like, of course, as soon as you click over to me. Hey, no, I was gonna mention this, and I wanted to run this question by you. So, in like movies and TV shows where the main character, it's kind of an old writing trope, right? Like your main character gets knocked up in the head or gets some kind of bad injury, and they get amnesia, and they don't know who they are. They don't know who anyone is. They act completely, and it's usually they act the total opposite of the way they normally act. And everybody's worried, and you just go, are they ever going to be the same again? And then something always happens. There's usually a second thing. They get hit in the head again, or something else happens, some life-changing event, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, they like remember who they are and they just start acting exactly the way they used to act. That is exactly what I feel happened yesterday to Alabama. It is like, you know, the line, oh gosh, what is it? It's like in Family Vacation where it's like the kid gets kicked by a mule. It's he got kicked again, and they went right back. That's exactly what I feel like happened. It's like, oh, we got kicked in the head a second time. It's like, I remember who we are now.
Clark Griswold, but what it was Uncle Eddie.
Oh, their eyes
Uncle
used
Eddie,
to be crossed, like the kids' eyes used to be crossed.
Yeah. Look, just as I was talking with DeMarco, and we're on with David from Nashville. By the way, Jarvis, I appreciate it, man. 12.5 Alabama favored, so almost by 2 touchdowns going to Stark Vegas. Just as I was talking to DeMarco, something changed at halftime. I don't know if Coach Saban got
That's
on.
what I'm saying. What
I don't know if Coach Saban got
on. Kick in the head?
I don't know if he got on that water bottle. Did you guys see he got on that water jug? There's that picture floating around where he's on the top of that water jug and the guy behind him is holding that water jug as he's giving like a Newt Rockney speech. The guy behind it is actually you got to see the photo. But the guy holding it is Ellis Ponder, who's the football operations director. And somebody subtweeted, they're like, what a stressful job is like holding this. It's like a Gatorade. It's an orange Gatorade jug that you're holding, right? And Saban's on top of it. And Saban's like pointing at the team. I don't know what happened at halftime, but something changed. And this team woke up because when this team came out in that second half, it was do or die. And they played like it was do or die. And they played like this was a team that finally wanted to win. It was a team that finally looked like Alabama. It was a team worth getting excited about. There was glimpses of greatness on defense. There was big plays on offense. That team plays like they did in that second half. Who's going to beat them on the rest of the schedule through the regular season? They're going to go really far. They're going to be very difficult to deal with. The problem is we just don't know which team. Look, I do know which team is going to show up, but can they put together 4 quarters consecutively of really good football? And that is something that they haven't done. The first and the second quarter throughout the last 3 weeks have been terrible. 6 points against Texas, 3 points against South Florida, and then 6 points against Ole Miss. So that has to change. I think it is going to change. You're going to probably see that be a difference against Mississippi State, but they need to put together 4 quarters if they want to continue to play at a high level of football. But yesterday against Ole Miss, I think that was a great start. What else you got, David?
Exactly. Well, no, and you said it right. To be more specific, you said which team is going to show up. I would go further. I would say which offense is going to show up, because I've actually heard a couple, like 2 or 3 times yesterday, the commentators and people would be like, wow, the defense really just came out of nowhere in the second half. I'm like, what do you mean it came out of nowhere? The defense has been playing for the most part.
That's true.
Lights out. The defensive line has been kind of off and on, but for the most part, the defense has been playing great all season long. The defense has not been our problem. It's been the offense. But I do think, and I don't know what you feel about this, but this is just kind of my thought. I think it would be best for all of us, like Alabama fans. I think the best thing we could do now is just stop talking about the quarterbacks. I really think, I think somewhere along the line, people kind of drew a line, and it was either, well, I'm for Jalen Milroe, and I know what I'm talking about, and here's why I know what I'm talking about. Or people were like, Jalen Milroe's garbage, Ty Simpson should be in, and I know what I'm talking about. And so it's almost like, well, if Milroe does great, all the people who support Milroe are like, see, words, there you go. And then if Milroe throws a bad pass, or if Ty Simpson does something great, then it's there. And it's almost like people are, I don't want to overstate it, but it's almost like people's pride is on the line, depending on which quarterback does well or does poorly, or who. And then it's like, hey, did anybody forget that we're all kind of pulling for the same team? I just think at some point, we just need to be quiet talking about the quarterbacks. Go, yep, Jalen Milroe is we all know who's good and who's strong at what. We all know who has potential at what. We know what the circumstances are. Let's just support whoever's in there. Right now it's Jalen Milroe. Go Jalen Milroe. And let's just stop talking about it and just support the team as a whole. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I appreciate the point. And I think to add on to that, it's hard to be critical of Coach Saban, right? I mean, You looked at every single thing that he's done. It works. What he's doing right now is working. But in my opinion, I feel like he mismanaged the whole quarterback dilemma, whatever, in the fall camp. And maybe the cake needed to be baked or whatever, but I feel that naming a quarterback would have helped add some early season identity to this team, potentially even beat Texas, because I think Jalen was like looking over his shoulder, like scared to even make a mistake. And I think the fans were kind of feeding off that, where absolutely, like, now they know who the quarterback is. You know who your ride or die is going to be. But I think it did create a lot of division, something that we haven't seen here. I don't know if the quarterbacks weren't ready. I don't know if it was kind of a roster management situation just because of NIL and players getting mad and complaining, whatever. Someday we'll know when Alabama does their Netflix, right? Kind of like the Bulls, The Last Dance, and we're watching it at home. We'll be like, oh yeah, so that's what happened. That's why he had those three quarterbacks play. And Saban will be like smoking a cigar. Miss Terry will be bringing him a little Debbie, and he'll be looking at the iPad and be like, oh yeah, I remember. Well, listen, this is what really happened. Jalen Milroe came in and. We'll never know for right now, but they have a quarterback. It's time to everybody to support that quarterback, and they're going to win football games with that defense. And as this offense continues to find itself, Alabama is going to be tough to beat. Big win. David, I appreciate you calling in from Nashville. Thank you very much for your continued support, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, man. Good to talk to you.
All right. David calling in from Nashville. We got a 608, a 615, and a 614. We'll take those coming up right here on Bama Football on YouTube. If you guys could hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe, I really appreciate it. To run you guys down the schedule for Monday, you got basketball highlights, 15 minutes of practice footage will be uploaded to the YouTube channel, followed by Nate Oates talking about the Alabama basketball team. Should be good. Look, Nate Oates is not afraid to tell you what he thinks. It's a really good press conference. So I'll upload to that, and then Coach Saban will be at 12 p.m. And then right after Coach Saban, you will have Jalen Milroe. So there's going to be some great coverage on Monday going into that Mississippi State game. Jarvis just said that Alabama is favored by 12.5 going into that that Mississippi State game. And where was Alabama ranked? I got busy. I put up some Halloween decorations today. I know when you guys said it was too early, and I asked you guys in the comment box, is it too early? But my next door neighbor, he's going ham. His whole thing is like lit. I'm going more subtle this year. I'm doing one large, kind of like evil creature out front, and then that's kind of it. But Jarvis said it's 12. And they're ranked 12. Okay, so went from 13 to 12. Good. Keep them in the weeds. Keep them outside of the top 10. This isn't a top 10 team yet. Don't put them in the top 10. We go back to the phone lines, and we have 608. Let's do it. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from? Try one more time. The reception seems kind of bad. Go ahead.
I'm Tom from Wisconsin calling in again.
Is it Tom, right?
Yes, Tom from Wisconsin. Yep.
Tom, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. Good to have you back, man. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to make the comment that you had just made a couple of minutes ago about consistency in four quarters. And that's exactly what I was thinking about when you said that. You want to see consistency 4 quarters, not a quarter here and a quarter there. You want from start to finish 4 quarters of going balls to the wall. That's what I want to see. And you can't have one or the other. I mean, you don't want to be playing from behind every game. You can't have that, especially now that we're in the SEC part of the schedule now. I mean, what happens if, we were down, 14-6 against Ole Miss? I mean, what happens is everybody in a panic mode because now we're going to play catch up real fast, which, we can't have that. We got to play consistently 4 quarters of football. And I'll let you have the floor.
Yeah, I appreciate it. On with Tom from Wisconsin. You're right. Look, the schedule that is coming up, and I have the schedule somewhere up here because I look at the schedule and I'm really excited to see how this team comes with it throughout the next couple of weeks. It's a very challenging schedule. And it's going to present a lot of challenges if Alabama cannot put together 4 quarters of play. I've talked about this a couple times. I'll put it full screen just one more time so the new viewers can check it out. So you got a game to Stark Vegas this coming weekend. You got the Cowbells. You guys, let me hear you guys in the comment box. Have you guys been to Mississippi State and have you seen the Cowbells? They literally have a huge, gigantic video board, and then there's a huge icon on their scoreboard of a cowbell, and it tells you when to ring the cowbell and when not to ring the cowbell. And then the cowbell is passed on like through generations. So like people give their cowbell on to like the next fan. I mean, it's a cowbell. But whatever. I mean, the thing about it is it's loud and it can be a tricky environment. Can't overlook this game. Then you go to Texas A&M, and you know who's coaching Texas A&M? Another former assistant by the name of Jimbo Fisher. And the last time that Alabama was over there, everybody remembers what happened is they were able to beat a Bryce Young-led team, and Alabama's going over there. Again, 12th man, very tough to play. You also have Arkansas coming to Tuscaloosa, and you have Tennessee. Another tough stretch, back-to-back games. The open week comes at a prime time as Alabama gets ready for LSU. And then you have Kentucky, Chattanooga, and a game in Auburn against Hugh Freeze. So it's a challenging schedule. But if this team is able to play at a consistent level, which I think we're starting to see a little bit more of, this team is better than the week 1 team. This team is better than the week 2 team. And you want to continue to improve. The penalties improved. There's still a couple of these snaps that the snaps are driving me crazy. Like I don't understand. Like we all played at football at some level. Like bad snaps, like that's just not it. Like that doesn't even happen at the high school or junior high level as much as it's happening. One of our viewers said that there was 9 bad snaps this season. 9. There should be like 2 a season maybe. So that is perplexing, kind of like, the tackle play. And I know the guys played a little bit better this past weekend, but those are things that have to improve going forward for this team to be able to eliminate those so-called drive killers. What else you got, Tom?
Well, I would think too, to allude to what you just said about the offensive line, I play offensive line too in the high school level, and that was it. But you want to cut down on the holding penalties, the false starts, stuff like that, the little things, and you got to be able to block for whoever's going to be a quarterback. Give them so they give time to make a play down the field if they have to. I mean, we can't be having this going in like you said, down to Starkville and on and on after that. I mean, it's just going to be, it's like, we got to figure it out fast, and I believe we can do it. But like I said, we got to turn it on. You just can't turn it on for a half. The main thing is you got to turn it on for 4 quarters. From start to finish. You got to. And, it's an important that. Otherwise, it's going to be a shit show.
Yeah, the whole way.
Then all you got all these negative. Yeah. The whole way. It's going to be a shit show. And then you're going to be everybody bitching about this and that. Well, you know what? Life goes on. It happens. Move on. Let's keep moving forward. Mm-hmm. That's all you can do. If you dwell on what happened last week, the way we played, fine, dwell on it, but I'm not going to. I'm moving on to Starkville. That's the next opponent, and we got to get them. It's going to, like you said, it's going to be the cowbell. We all know it's going to be a hostile environment down there. They always have those guys ready to play against us, and I just want to see consistency all the way across the board from all 3 phases. Special teams, defense, offense. I want to see a consistent game from 4 quarters, from start to finish. That's all I got for tonight. I appreciate you letting me call in and roll tide, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take it easy, Tom. Roll tide to you. Tom calling in brings up a really good point. The consistency of Will Reichard has been really amazing. I had brought this statistic up another time on one of the shows, and Will Reichard is currently leading the team in scoring, by no surprise. But the second leading scorer for Alabama right now is Ty Simpson, who has 14 total points, which is weird because he's not even the starting quarterback. Let me run through the Pro Football Focus grades real quick on the offensive side and the defensive side, because I don't think I went over them in detail during the first part of this show. So here are the Pro Football Focus grades against Ole Miss, and we'll start up top on left, and I'll get to you the callers in just a second. We got a 615, 614, and an 832 inside the call queue. Hang tight. So let's start with Tyler Booker up top left. He was a starter. That's what that star indicates. And the total represents snap counts, which is 70. He has played in his offensive grade was 74.6. J.C. Latham played in 70 snaps. His grade was a 68.1. Seth McLaughlin played in 70 snaps. His grade was a 61.4. Jalen Milroe, 69 plays, and had a grade of 82.4, which led the entire team. And then you had Darian Dalcourt at 51.4, and then Caden Proctor at 64.6. So not an overall solid performance in the offense, and that's kind of like the 2 quarters that Alabama put together. I don't see Jalen Hell on this. It's probably because he played less than 23 snaps, because I cut it off at 23 right under Ja'Cory Brooks. Ja'Cory Brooks, as you know, came in on special teams and was able to block a punt. Here are the defensive grades. Yeah, and I don't think those grades are anything to be too excited about, right? I mean, they improve, but still, those aren't necessarily the grades to get really excited about. Let's look at the defensive grades against Ole Miss, and let me find those real fast. Oh, here they are. Okay, so up top, you have Caleb Downs, and Caleb Downs played in 67 snaps, and he had a defensive grade of 83.9, which is amazing for a freshman. That's outstanding, especially against the Lane Kiffin-style offense. Terran Arnold played at a very high level, as you know, 79.9. Kool-Aid, 78.2. Fam, these grades are great. Malachi Moore, 69.7. Jalen Key, 66.8. That was probably Jalen Key's, I guess, worst game so far this year. Dallas Turner, look at that grade, 88.3. That's the highest grade of any defensive player this year through 4 games. Jahad Campbell, that's a little bit surprising to see 59.6, because I thought he did play a good game. Same thing with Broswell. Sometimes these grades, like, they might not make sense to you, but who knows? I mean, these are coaches that are grading them in particular situations, whatever. Same thing with like Tim Keenan. I thought Tim Keenan played really well to me. So I even saw the big man chasing down Jackson Dart, which is crazy because Jackson Dart is a running quarterback. So those are the Pro Football Focus grades. All right, we go back to the phone lines. 615, let's get it. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Kyle, it's Michael from Nashville. I talked to you on the morning show earlier today.
Yeah, double dipping, man. I appreciate you calling back. I just had the Pro Football Focus grades. We got Mississippi State this coming weekend, man, but it's your show. Take it away.
Well, I appreciate you having that awesome data, and I think there's a lot of value in the Pro Football Focus numbers. I think, like you said, it's guys who've been there, played the game. They know what they're looking for, but there's always something more besides just the numbers. I wanted to speak to one or two things about Milroe and Tommy Reese. Earlier today, I was calling him Kyle Reese. I think my new nickname on the show. When I call in, I'm just going to say it's the Terminator. You'll just know it's Michael from Nashville. So here's my thing. I heard you talking earlier about the Dolphins putting up 70 against the Broncos, and I was actually just sitting on the couch watching the highlights. And there's so many ways I want to take this, but you can cut me off if you want to. But first thing, when Kiffin and Sarkisian were here, there was a palpable element to who's calling the plays on this offense. This is not your average run-of-the-mill fan who sits on the couch can cook up these plays type of offense. It was, oh, that's a really unique play. Oh, guess what? Kiffin's our OC. And then when Sark was there, it was, man, there's something exceptional about this play calling. And it's, well, Sarkisian's your head coach. And there's been times, I think back to maybe in 2009, 2012, there were some big games with LSU. I remember particularly with Leonard Fournette when we had a stellar defensive performance. Fournette was wrapped up the Heisman basically, and they came into Tuscaloosa, I think they came to Tuscaloosa, and you probably remember this game, Kyle, when we shut down the LSU offense that night and wrapped up Leonard Fournette. It probably took the Heisman away from him, but it was palpable that Coach Nick Saban was in charge of the defense. I take all that to say, I'm ready to have an offensive coordinator who, when you watch the play calling and you see the designs and the scheme and the creativity of the plays, you say, who's that OC? He's doing something. And I mentioned the Dolphins game because I was watching the highlights, and one of the plays the Dolphins scored on, Tua's under center. They've got, a single running back in the backfield. Mm-hmm. They bring a receiver kind of in jet sweep. Tua takes a snap from under center, and it looks like he's going to hand it off to the jet coming around, maybe 4 or 5 yards deep in the backfield. And turns out he shuttle passes it forward to the running back who stepped forward during the during all the motion. And I just thought, what a brilliant play. And, very, very creative, get your back to your skill players and do it in unconventional ways. And we all know that Milroe, he's having trouble stepping back and reading the defense like Mac Jones, okay? But when Cam Newton and Nick Marshall at Auburn, I can't tell you how many times I would see this play where they be in shotgun, they bring somebody in jet motion, they fake the handoff to the jet guy, maybe they give it to the running back on like a QB option. If the QB would take it, maybe the QB would run with it, or maybe he'd go lateral, and maybe he'd throw it behind the line to the jet guy, or maybe he'd pump fake it behind the line to the guy who was just in jet motion, and then he'd go deep to a guy who was running a go route or a wheel. Just all these things you can do to force the DBs to have eye discipline, as opposed to just and again, when you do that with guys like Cam Newton and Nick Marshall, if none of the eye candy works, you can still throw the ball, or you can still just hold it as the quarterback and run it. But we don't do any of these things that a head coach and a coordinator can do to help the game, help the players on the field by nothing more than just the scheming and the confusing of the defense and causing the defense to be hesitant and lack confidence in what they're doing. And those are things, like I said, that just by calling plays, just by scheming formations, regardless of whether or not the players execute the throwing and the passing and the blocking, but just in those administrative things, the OC can make a palpable difference. And I hope Tommy Rees is willing to sit down and watch some of these other coordinators and realize he can affect the game the way Saban affects the game, the way Sark and Kiffin affect the game. But let me get your thoughts on that. I know I was long-winded, but I wanted to make that point.
Yeah, I'm going to answer on the other line, Michael, but I appreciate you calling in, man.
Okay,
yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
Yep. That's Michael calling in, talking about kind of the offensive schematics. When Lane Kiffin put together some of the plays, that dude can cook up some plays. There was guys open. I said this earlier. It looked like they ran onto the field. I didn't even see where they were coming from, and they were so wide open. There was a couple plays that he cooked up on Saturday that there wasn't a guy 25 yards radius. Imagine if you had the arsenal again back at Alabama. Imagine if you had Jalen Milroe to work with. Right? Like, okay, Jackson Dart, he's a good athlete. He's not Jalen Milroe. They have some weapons. They've had weapons. How could they not? You want to go play for Lane Kiffin. You look to other successful offensive play callers. You know who I was impressed with, honestly, was Alex Gollish from South Florida. I love how he utilized the entire field. He did the same thing at Tennessee when Tennessee beat Alabama. Imagine if he had Jalen Milroe. I'm just saying, it still seems like a little bit of this is on Tommy Rees. Eric Thomas in the comment box is like, is Rees going to be back here next year? Yeah, for sure. I mean, Saban's never gone, kind of one and done unless he was to go big time, which I don't think he will, considering, the offensive performance this far from Alabama. Things can change, whatever. But I don't see that much creativity. Somebody on Twitter, I forgot about this. I think it was during like the first quarter or the second quarter. They tweeted a picture and it was Bill O'Brien and they said, "Miss you, babe." Look, I don't know if it's that far. I think it's been a sample size. It's been 4 games, but I still think that Tommy Rees can get with it. So let's maybe just hold tight before we start calling for heads. I mean, they are 3-1 and they're taking steps forward. All right, we go back to the phone line, 614. Let's get it. Hey, thanks for being patient. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle, this is Coach Green out of Columbus, Ohio. How you doing, man?
I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much. Did you say Coach Green?
Yep, Coach Green out of Columbus, Ohio.
All right, man. Take it away, man. Welcome to the show. Appreciate you joining us.
Thanks, man. Long-time Bama fan, born in Tuscaloosa, man. Just wanted to comment on the game. Well, you guys was talking about Tommy Rees. I remember when he was hired, you had a call-in show. We were discussing the new coordinator hires, and I really was never – high on the guy because he's really never developed a quarterback, and all the offenses at Notre Dame has been kind of somewhat predictable, power running game. Obviously, this is the biggest weapon he's ever had with Jalen Milroe, but we just need some more diversity in the offense, man. Some quarterback rollouts, some different screens, some RPOs, we do look really predictable. First down run, we get behind the sticks, obvious pass situations. So it's going to be tough when we play some really good fronts, especially Texas A&M. They probably got the best front that we're going to see all year. We won't be able to just pound the ball, and Milroe's going to have to, probably throw it 30, 35 times a game because people's going to make him beat us and stop the run. So we just need some diversity in offense. I think Bama overall has improved throughout the 3 games. That was kind of a glimpse of Saban, playing the 2 quarterbacks because he said he wanted to play those guys, at least try to see where we're at with the backups. But I want to see more of Simpson, man. I thought Simpson was going to get a chance the last game when we wasn't moving the offense the first half, but we'd love to see more of him because he's more of a pure passer. He doesn't hold the ball as long as Milroe's. But we'll see. What's your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I think, I wish that we would have seen more of Ty Simpson in that first game against Middle Tennessee. And I thought maybe in the third quarter when Alabama was kind of going back and forth with Texas, that maybe we should have seen Ty Simpson there. And now in hindsight, Ty Simpson should have started against South Florida. Now it's too late for that because this is street fight mode. This is survive and advance. Like there's no toying around. Like Milroe's the guy. Let's go win the game. And Simpson continue to develop. And who knows, maybe Simpson at some point during the season comes in and plays and, we see him start to emerge. But right now, it's too late to waffle. And I think that, like I said, it's hard to be critical of Coach Saban at all because he's done so many great things. But for the first time, I just don't think that quarterback situation was handled effectively. But maybe those guys weren't as developed as we thought they were going to be. It's just, I don't know, it's a really weird thing that I've never seen Alabama's kind of have that lackluster start, kind of be confused. The players didn't know what was going to happen in the quarterback room, saying that they support every guy. No, they want to support the best guy that gives them a best chance to win the game. So Coach Saban said plenty of times, who the best player is on the team. I guarantee you the players know who the best quarterback is. With that said, this team, but let me ask you this, Coach. Did this team take an offensive step forward against Ole Miss?
Yeah, I mean, you got to take Ole Miss for who they are. They're inferior competition. I mean, I know they're in the SEC, but Blaine really haven't never won anything with those guys. The defense is really small, 280 linemen. They're a decent team. I know they scored 35 points, but they're never anywhere to win the SEC. So I look at it from that point of view with the caliber of competition that you're playing. I mean, we're saying best quarterback. I think Jalen is probably the best athlete on the team, hands down. I'm really sold on Simpson, man. I want to see this kid. I think he's more of a pure passer. Jalen probably give us the best chance to win because Simpson don't have any experience. But I think to win a championship, we got to be able to throw the ball and we got to be able to put points up. Obviously, Georgia's been able to do it. They have more balance, but their quarterback play has been a whole lot better than ours. I think we got the receivers, Burden. You got the kid from Louisiana. You got the kid out of junior college. Then you got the freshman showing up. We got some receiver. What's the guy named from Florida? I think he's a senior. I don't think he even caught a ball. Our receivers aren't getting, 4 or 5 balls a game. So I'm just worried about that in the future. I think right now we're good. We're beating Mississippi State now. When we get into the meat of the schedule where we got harder competition, Texas A&M probably has the best athlete for athlete that can compete with us. Auburn, not worried about them. Tennessee, they're going to score some points. But I'm just worried about the future, man, and that's kind of how I look at it, big picture-wise. Yeah,
no, I got you. And like we've seen in the past, I mean, things can change. I mean, you're one play, and when you're number 2, you're one play away from being the guy. I mean, Jalen Milroe took a big shot, and Ty Simpson comes in, and he jumps into the end zone for that 2-point. So you gotta be ready. You gotta have your head locked in. You gotta be dialed in. Ty is 1,000,000% the backup quarterback of this team. We've seen backup quarterbacks of this team win a national championship, and we've seen a backup quarterback come in and win the SEC championship. Right? I mean, Jalen and Tua both did it. right, as backup. So the backup has to be ready, has to be prepared. I don't think we've seen the end of Ty Simpson by any stretch of the imagination. Probably Tyler Buckner. That's the way the game goes. There can only be one at the quarterback position. That's why we love football. And, we'll see how it goes. But I will say this, that ball that Ty Simpson did throw in South Florida to Dupree, that was money. I mean, was right on the money, was a good pass. He managed that game. He got Alabama out of Tampa with a W, and that's all that matters. Coach Green, I appreciate you calling in.
Quick question.
Go ahead.
I get one last question. I'm not down on Milroe. He's still developing as a passer. Comparisons, when Jalen Hurts was a freshman to where Milroe, who do you think was the better quarterback at that point or at that stage in their career? Obviously, Hurts came in as a freshman baller. Yeah. Who would you say was the better quarterback at that time?
Ooh, that may be. I might have to ask the community. All right, so Coach Green is asking. Let me ask you this: who was better at that time, Jalen Hurts or Jalen Milroe? What do you guys think? Jarvis is saying Hurts. Oh man, this is. I think
Milroe has a better supporting cast at receivers because Hurts didn't have. Who did Hurts? Did he have Amari? Who did he have at?
No, he had Calvin Ridley, and that was about it. So it looks like, it looks like so far 3 out of 4 have said Hurts. So there's your, this is like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Who wants to be the biggest Alabama Crimson Tide football fan? we had to ask the audience on that one. All right. Roll Tide to you, man. All right. See you, Coach Green. Take it easy. All right. Man, that was a tough one. I had to call the audience. I need to be able to phone a friend. I need to phone Coach Sean if I ever get inside a tough spot and be able to call gonna treat this like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. All right, Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe. Busy Monday. We got Coach Oates at the podium. You got Coach Saban. You got Jalen Milroe. A lot to go over on Monday as Alabama preps for Mississippi State, Alabama. Do a poll. There is a poll option that I could do on YouTube. I'm on StreamYard, so it'd be hard for me to do a poll, but I think there is a way to do a poll. But yeah, that would be good. Lifeline. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Eric. Everybody needs a lifeline, man. This is all live. And sometimes I don't have the answer. I don't know. 832, let's do it. Hey, welcome to the show. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
This is Mike, and I'm from Austin, Texas.
Mike, I appreciate you calling in. Thanks for joining us this evening, man. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I just want to say, everybody talks about quarterback play, but it's hard for Jalen Milroe to develop as a quarterback when he's got no blocking from the offensive line. And, the offensive line is still trying to develop and get a personality or whatever, or try to develop, I guess. But it's hard for a quarterback to develop when he's running for his life half the time. That's what I've seen during the Texas game. But anyway, with that being said, from this point, it's going to be hard for Alabama to go to the playoffs and make the 14 playoffs. And the reason I say that, because from this point, there's just no margin of error that they're allowed. I mean, it's almost near impossible to make it to the SEC without one loss. And the schedule you showed earlier, they play LSU, they play Tennessee, they play Auburn at Auburn, and Mississippi State coming up. They should beat Mississippi State, but they have some tough games. So it'd be hard for them to make it through without losing one of them games. And everybody just seems to be hating on Alabama right now. All the national media seems to be hating on them and looking for a reason. But they're number 13. Give me a break. I know they should be better than that. But just like last year, Bama probably should have went to the playoffs, but they were left out because opposers TCU got in, and we've seen what happened there, and because of Big Ten privilege, they got in. But it seems like everybody's just hating on Alabama and looking for any reason to keep them out of the playoff, and hating on Saban, and even people like Paul Feinbaum hates on Saban Alabama all the time. I mean, so from this point, there's just no margin of error because the national media, all they'll do is look for any reason they can to keep Alabama out of the playoffs. And if they lose one more game, well, there's a reason right there, just like last year.
I think we're on with Mike from Austin. I mean, you do make a good point, and everybody was trying to fight somebody that was older yesterday. You had Ryan Day, who was trying to fight Lou Holtz, and then you had the Washington State coach who was trying to fight Lee Corso. So everybody was kind of poking the older folks, and a lot of people trying to poke the GOAT. That was Lane Kiffin was trying to poke the GOAT, and I think he woke up the GOAT. I think when you look to kind of the Bama fatigue, it certainly still exists. That's why people are screaming for Florida State to stay relevant and to continue to win. By the way, they almost lost. They should have lost to Clemson. And that's why people want Notre Dame to be right there, right? Because those are the teams that, like that generation covered, and they want them to be good again. And those are headlines that travel well. Is Notre Dame fighting Irish football? That's a strong search engine optimization headline. I agree with you. It's going to be tough for Alabama to reach the college football playoffs. It's going to be tough for them to win the SEC West. It's a gauntlet that is coming up, and there is no margin for error. With that said, they are 1-0 in SEC play, and things happen. The good news is when you look to Alabama's schedule, the majority of the difficult games are in Bryant-Denny. And the way that the energy level was yesterday, it really catapulted that team. So you have Arkansas at home, you have Tennessee at home, and you have LSU at home. Those are three monumental games that you have to have W's in. Auburn's on the road, Texas A&M's on the road, and Mississippi State's on the road. Those are all challenging games. Look, you said it. There's no margin for error. And if you're going to lose, you lose early in the season. This team has to, you can't lose twice, but they still can lose, I guess, and get to the SEC. But whatever the case is, the fact of the matter is they have to put four quarters together, and they have to beat Mississippi State. Mississippi State going on the road, it's challenging. I've been there before when they had Jalen Hurts and they almost lost. They had to rally back in the fourth quarter to win that game. It's a challenging environment. It's loud. You can't overlook a team like that, and I guarantee you Saban's not. What else you got, Mike?
Well, not a whole lot, but yeah, I was there when they almost killed Tua too. But it's like I say, just I do know one. Yeah. If Alabama would have Michigan's schedule, Alabama would be undefeated. If Alabama had Georgia's schedule, they'd probably be undefeated. If Alabama had Ohio State's schedule playing at Notre Dame, with all due respect to Notre Dame, that's no amazing feat beating Notre Dame. I mean, that's a given that Notre Dame's going to lose to a decent team, to the best teams. But anyway, like I say, they just look for any reason to keep Alabama out of the playoffs. If they lose one more game, that'd be the reason right there. But all right, Kyle, you take care, buddy. God bless you. Keep up the good show, and I enjoy watching the show on YouTube, man. You take care.
All right, man. Take it easy. Thank you very much for the call. I appreciate it. Mike from Austin calling in. You guys can watch the show from your big screen TV. Just open up the app, the YouTube app, and just go to Bama Football on YouTube, and it comes up on your TV. So, nice to have it kind of emulated on the full screen if you want to. You don't have to watch it on your phone or whatever. And I think that's right. I mean, people want Bama to lose so they're not in the playoffs. They do like when Alabama's in the playoffs because everybody watches Alabama because if you're not a fan, you want them to lose, right? Just because they've had such a successful run. But look what happened last season. I mean, Alabama lost 2 games by a total of 4 points, and they didn't make the playoffs. So if they're able to lose a game by 10 points and then lose to somebody else in the SEC, people be like, oh, this really isn't the team. Long season. Got to beat Mississippi State. That's all that matters is the game in front of you. That's it. We go back to the phone lines with the 470, and we start right now. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle, it's Andrew from Douglasville again.
Hey, what's up, Andrew? I appreciate you calling in, man. Alabama beats Ole Miss 24-10, 1-0 in SEC play. Welcome to the show, man. What's on your mind?
Well, first off, I was wrong. I thought, probably be like 48-35, but our defense did really, really good, which was amazing. So hats off to our defense. National championship defense right there, I'm telling you. And I was, I thought our offense, I thought we did all right. First half, we struggled. But that opening drive, we looked really, really good. Moving the ball downfield at will, looking like old Alabama, and then we just lost it on the end of the drive. I don't know. Was that the drive when Jalen threw a pick, or was that the second drive? I think we settled for the field goal and opening drive, and then I think it was the second drive. Jalen threw a pick, which sucked. And then we had the other drives in the red zone where we settled for field goals. But, hey, three's better than nothing. And then that second half, man, just, oh my gosh, we came out of the locker room, just dominated Ole Miss. And like I said, if it wasn't for the new clock rules and stuff, we would have had a lot more time. Probably could have gone some more points on the board. But, I think we beat them like 17-3 or something in the second half. So that was just something else. The offense ain't where we want it to be yet. But I think this was a good start. And then I think next week against Mississippi State, if we can play like we did in the second half, all 60 minutes, I think we're gonna just destroy Mississippi State. But like I said, our defense is really good, and I think Milroe, you take away that one pick, he played a solid game. I'm not gonna say he played a great game. He played a solid game. Threw for like 225, one touchdown, and I don't know how many rushing yards he had. He had a few. And our running back play, though, I thought after USF, Voida Williams was going to be running back one, sorry. And then, but Jason McClellan, man, he came to play, and he got 100-something rushing yards, and then Voida Williams did really good, too. So I think we need to keep running the ball like that. And then our O-line was able to open up the run game, which was really nice to see. And then they actually gave Jalen Milroe some time to pass. They gave him a little too much time to pass a couple times. So that was something. So I think that second half, everything clicked like we needed it to. And I just hope we can keep that going. And I think the previous call of Mike, I disagree. I think Alabama will definitely run the table. I think this team is fired up now after beating Ole Miss. I think they have a lot of enthusiasm now, and I think each game we get more and more settled in and play a lot more like old Alabama. And that game, we look like we had glimpses of old Alabama, old school Alabama, and that rushing touchdown from Jason McClellan, that was old school Alabama, man, just shoving it down their throats. So like I said, this game was definitely a good base. And we can build a lot off this game. Like I said, we're not a great team yet. We're still struggling a little bit. But I think we have potential to be a great team this season. And I think if we keep on building and keep on improving each week, I think by the end of the season we're going to be a great team. And I think we're going to be playing the national championship. But right now we're a really solid team. And I think our defense could beat any other team in the nation right now if our offense just plays half decent. But I was really impressed with what I saw, and I think it's given us a lot of hope now. And I think Alabama is going to be. I don't know if we're going to be back completely this season, but I think we're going to do really, really, really good this season. I think next season we're going to be unstoppable. What I think, but yeah, man, that's all I got, man.
Well, I appreciate it, Andrew. And before you go, a couple things. Here are the stats from this past game. So Jace had 17 carries for 106 yards. Milroe had 64 gained, but his net was only 28 because, again, the sacks negate some of those yards. Reception-wise, it was Roydale Williams who actually had the most receptions in that game, which is weird because he only had 13 yards. Jalen Hell had 2 receptions for 63 yards. Burton had 2 for 62. And then Milroe was 17 to 21 for 225 yards. So those are your stats. But I wanted to say, Andrew, you have really good context, and I like when you call in, man. So continue to bring in your good takes, be authentic, and call in anytime.
I will, man. I appreciate it, man. Keep up the show, man. It's always fun watching you.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Take it easy. All right, that was Andrew calling in, and we got a force. Actually, we got a 3-3-4 that we will take in just a second. Kyle Henderson and Bama Football on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Busy day on Monday as we got Coach Oates. We also have some basketball coverage, and then we have Coach Nick Saban at 12 p.m. and then Jalen Milroe as well, coming to you right here on the Bama Football YouTube channel. So I've mentioned this before. I've never really provided coverage on basketball, so I'm going to keep the channel the same, but when you start to see the basketball coverage come up, same thing. We're going to cover basketball this year. I think the basketball team deserves it. I can certainly cover basketball. This is what I do for a full-time living, so I'm capable to cover basketball. And I want to bring that context to you guys because I can talk football. I can also talk basketball. So excited about it. So tomorrow will be a good opportunity to bring you Nate Oates' press conference and some basketball footage, but obviously it's still football. It's always going to be football heavy, but when you start to see some basketball content items added, that's just kind of, it's part of the YouTube channel that we will add on to as we get to the particular season. But we'll be excited to hear from Nate Oates tomorrow. So we'll bring that here on Bama Football on YouTube. We go back to the phone lines with a 334 and we start right now. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
David from Opelika.
Hey, what's up, David? I appreciate you calling in, man. Welcome to the show.
Yeah. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing amazing. I feel good. Sometimes I appreciate you asking. Sometimes I think, during the football season, it does get a little bit overwhelming because there's a lot to cover. I'm by myself. And I'm not asking for any sympathy or whatever, but it is a grind. It's a gauntlet, and you have to stay at a very high level mentally to be able to bring good coverage. I mean, like it or not, it takes a lot of energy to talk, to listen, and it's but it's part of it. So, but I'm here for it, and I the shows are great and excited to be here, man. So I appreciate it, and welcome to the show. So what's on your mind?
Yeah, I enjoyed the game yesterday, but I thought when Jalen threw that interception, I said, "Oh snap, he finna get benched." But I was surprised that Saban stuck with him, and it just creeps my mind out for when we in a short situation, we got less than 5 yards. Why in the world do we get in the pistol formation instead of just quarterback sneak or just a heavy pack? I like 1 yard line after man. Come on. I was Stevie Wonder when he called that play. But I was just really impressed that Jalen took accountability and he went down the line and petting everybody, said, "It's on me, just trust me." You can just read his lips and he said, "We'll get it back," And I just proud of how they went back out there fighting even though they were messing up. I don't know what's wrong with the center, but man, he got the jitters or something. He just when he hiked the ball, it just something off with him this year. But I think we're going to do all right through the rest of the schedule. I think Milroe, like Blake said, when it was hit between him and Coke and everybody want to pull him out and put Coke in, I think it just be all right with him. He's just growing pains. We just got to let the man do what he do and just trust Saban.
Yeah, I know the center thing is something that I've talked about. But that time when they come out, you're first and goal from the one, put the quarterback under center and just pound it, right? With one of the biggest quarterbacks in college football. I don't know. And I get it. I mean, there's a lot of people, like even Adam inside the comment box, he's saying he's not sold on Milroe. I mean, why would you be? I mean, it hasn't established an entire, 4 quarters just yet. I'm on the Milroe train. I think that he has the leadership. Man, he's such a charismatic dude, and he's an athletic guy. I mean, and his deep ball has been phenomenal, and the guys want to play for him. They want to play around him. I think he's going to win a lot of games for Alabama this season. I really do. And I think that the more that him and Tommy Rees kind of get on that same page, or maybe they just unleash him, I think Jalen Milroe is going to do phenomenal. But
he got a quick step. That boy quick as a hiccup. When he gets outside and he just moves and plant his foot, he got one of the quicker releases I've seen for us running down the field.
Yep. Yeah. What else, David? Anything else regarding kind of the next game against Mississippi State? Anything else you want to see? Any thoughts on the defense? Because the defense played phenomenal.
Man, I just wish the defense can go up in the stand and get all them cowbells they're gonna be bringing.
Yeah, the Cowboys.
But they just got to play through. They got to play through adversity. I'm just going. I've been an Alabama fan. I'm 49. I've been an Alabama fan for over 30 years. I was there when they called the wide receiver split in with Lamar Russell. But they got to be. I was so proud of the defense yesterday. Actually, we missed a couple of tackles, but that's the most get after a quarterback I've seen in a while.
5 quarterback sacks, 8 pressures on the quarterback. It was great to see the defense finally get turned up. And the energy level was crazy in the second half because Bryant-Denny Stadium, as we've talked about, it can be sleepy. It wasn't sleepy by any means. It was hot in the beginning of the game, and then it got loud. And I'm glad to see that, those fans and you know what Coach Saban did for the second time this season was he left the podium after the press conference and he came back on. He was like, I just want to say thank you to the fans for bringing that level of energy to the game, because I honestly feel that has impacted, 2 games. I mean, the fans showed up against Texas 1,000,000%, and they did their thing. But yesterday, they needed the fans as well. These fans are going to continue to play a pivotal role in this team. You got to that whole 12th man thing that exists. The energy levels got to be high. What else you got, David?
I'm just glad because I thought it kind of changed when they started booing when Jalen took that 1 sack. And they start booing him and start like, man, don't do that kid like that. Because no matter who get in there and they mess up, you got to rally around them, and that affects them. Even though they're young, I do it to somebody that's making millions of dollars, but to somebody who's still a little child, I ain't gonna be that hard on them.
Yeah.
But I appreciate your call, Kyle. Let me call in. Answer my call.
Anytime, man. I appreciate it, David. Thanks so much. Roll Tide to you.
All
right. We got a 337 and a 205. We'll just jump right into it. 337. Let's do it. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, or where are you calling in from?
This is David from Louisiana.
David, you are double dipping today on this beautiful Sunday, man. Take it away.
Well, couldn't help but double dip, brother. But anyways, last year we barely beat Ole Miss. It was 30-24 last year. They actually outrushed us last year. They had 191 yards rushing last year. There are 108 yards rushing, which was crazy. But anyways, on the Jalen Hurts versus Jalen Milroe, Jalen Hurts started as a freshman. He went 13-1. He had 2,780 passing yards. He had 954 rushing yards. He threw 23 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He had 13 rushing touchdowns. Total was 3,734 yards. Now, I want you to also, if you can, I like baseball. Alabama baseball did pretty good last year. They made it into the playoffs and everything. I like to see if you can cover some of that as well with this new coach that come from, I think, Maryland up there or whatever, if you possibly can. We did win twice yesterday. Actually, we won by -9 yards in penalties compared to Ole Miss. They had 8 for 69. We had 6 for 60. Now, another question I have for you, and I want your honest opinion and everybody in the comment box. We have the number 1 dual quarterback that's possibly coming to Alabama. He's already committed. I don't know if he's signed on a dotted line, if he's a verbal commit. But if Tommy Rees don't get his beep, beep, beep together and start showing something, and his offensive line doesn't get better to protect, which I know some are going to be leaving after this year, do you think it's possible that Julian Sayin may decommit and go to another school? Because, family does have emphasis on things, especially being protective of their kid getting hurt and ending their career young. There's always that possibility, because you saw what USF done to poor little old Ty Simpson on that blind side. He was getting destroyed. I thought they broke his back a couple of times when they hit him. And I'm not saying that Sayin can't take the hits, but, these kids look at that stuff too. They look at how the team performs, before they make their commitment, and they make their commitment. Then after they see that the team's not performing up to par like they were before or whatever, and they may decommit. So other than that, that's all I got to say. Just let me know your input on that. And with that being said, God bless everyone. God bless this country. Roll Tide.
All right, roll Tide to you, David. Appreciate the call in. Double dipping. Regarding the quarterback situation, I mean, look, I think that Julian Sayin is the guy that people are rightfully excited about. We don't know the future. And until these guys are legitimately signed, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, now you guys know the world that we live in with NIL and the money that's being floated around. I was just reading that players are wanting $5,000 just to make an appearance on campus. Can you believe that we're at that point? We're in the wild west of this NIL space. Now, let's just hypothetically say that Julian's saying that he does sign and everything goes according to plan. So who are the quarterbacks next year on campus, right? You have Milroe. You have Simpson, right? You have Lonergan. And you have Sane, right? So those are your quarterbacks. And where is, and I'm saying that with Eli and Buckner transferring. That's just what I'm thinking, right? So you have, those are the 4 quarterbacks on the roster. Can you imagine the quarterbacks controversy that we're going to be talking about next spring? So Eli, I mean, you would think that Eli and Buckner hit the transfer. I have no idea if they're going to, but that was just, I mean, that's what it looks like right there. So I don't know. I mean, until these kids are actually signed, I mean, who knows? And a lot has to do with the relationship between the offensive coordinator, who is also the quarterback's coach, and that maintaining that strong relationship with Julian Sane. So that's a pivotal part that Tommy Rees has to do, and he has to show Julian that he can coach at this high level. And people have been really critical of Tommy thus far. I saw someone in the comment box that said that he's doing just fine. I mean, he's having to work with Alabama's playbook and work with Jalen Milroe. I mean, I think we've been critical of him thus far, but it's only been 4 games. Maybe we can look back through 8 games and have more of a sample size. We go back to the phone lines with the 205, and we start right now. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
What's up, Kyle? Uncle Charles, what's happening, man?
What's up, Uncle Charles? I appreciate you calling in, man. Welcome to the show.
Man, it's good to see you. It's a blessing to hear your voice. Good to see you. Let me just say this. I want the Alabama fans to know this, the Alabama family, because we are family. At the end of the day, it's the win that tells the story. But now, don't be surprising of what you don't saw, because Alabama is still in a rebuilding stage at this point. I mean, hey, let's be honest. The first half, second half, it looked so bad out there. I went to sleep and I woke up in the third quarter. I said, maybe we might have a chance. But don't ever let your eyes fool you. You tell about people when you're winning. You see how people are. But when you start losing, you find out who your friends are. Now, Colorado out there got smoked like a pack of cool cigarettes this week. And they're going to get smoked like a pack of cool cigarettes this week, too. Because he said we 8 players away from having a good team. No, you're 25 players and a prison sentence. Yeah, you're a long way from that, bro. But you find out who a real Alabama fan is when you start losing. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know what's going to happen from here to tomorrow. And now, I don't worry about right now, because tomorrow ain't never promised to you. Mm-hmm. So I worry about right now. And when I look at the Alabama team trying to find themselves, they try to find themselves. And I hope before the end of the year, they do find themselves. Because if they don't, I'm going to have to put out a missing report that somebody missing. And we're going to have to find you. So come on, Alabama. Do your thing. Trust in Nick Saban. Trust in his work. Trust in what he's teaching you. You got to sacrifice. It's about sacrifice. It's about giving your all out there on that field. Let me say this in closing. You know, they had this river, and it was a squirrel and a rabbit and a raccoon. They wanted to get across to the other side of the river to get the low-hanging fruit from the tree. But they couldn't swim. But it was an alligator that manned that river. And he saw them on the bank over there. He peeked his head out the water. He said, hey, you guys, why are you standing on the side of the bank? He said, we want to get over there and get that fruit, but we can't swim. He said, climb on my back, and I'll take you to the other side. And all 3 of them climbed on his back, and he took them over there. And he said, Mr. Alligator, what do we owe you? He said, you don't owe me nothing, but I owe you something. So he ate all 3 of them. Why? Because he's an alligator. That's why. That's why. Trust in yourself, knowing that you're mentally ready for the game, physically and spiritually ready for the game, and you will prevail. Make that other team quit. It's about making that team quit. And you got to look in their eyes and say, this is not going to be an easy breakfast or lunch or dinner. And that's all I got to say. And I appreciate you, baby.
I appreciate you, Uncle Charles. Man, that's like,
yes, sir.
I look forward to that. That's like I think it's all of our like Sunday evening sermon from Uncle Charles, right? The pack of cools and don't trust the Gators. That's what Will says. We go right back to the phone lines. Tough act to follow after Uncle Charles calls in. I love the analogies. Do you think he just has those, or do you think they are made up on the spot? Right? I don't know, but it is good content. My goodness. All right, back to the phone lines. 859. Let's get it. Hey, welcome to the show. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where you calling in from?
Hey, what's up? This is Dwight Cunningham. I'm calling from Lexington, Kentucky.
Yeah, I appreciate you calling in, Dwight. About to be up there about another month or so, man. So I appreciate you calling in, man. Welcome to the show. Take it away.
Oh, man, it sucks to have to follow that great act, man. I kind of don't know what to say, you know. No, but what I want to say is, first of all, Roll Tide. I feel like what I seen on Saturday is just a little sample size of what we can be.
Yeah.
I felt Milroe was rusty, and I think that's due to the fact that he didn't play last week. He didn't really get any snaps in.
Mm-hmm.
So I just feel like that after we start rolling, I feel like we're going to be good. I think our defense is going to get even better. And I think if Milroe can just, you know, maybe just hit his check down a little more, I think we'll be fine. But that's all I got to say. Roll Tide, we coming.
Hey, Dwight, before you go, man, give me a couple places to that I should check out to eat at when I go up to Lexington. You have any on the fly? Or you need another show to think about?
You should definitely go to Malone's Steakhouse.
Okay, Malone's.
Go to the Malone Steakhouse.
All right.
Yes, get you the Anthony Davis steak.
A. Davis steak, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
It's good. All right, man.
All right, man.
Take care, y'all. Roll Tide, baby.
Roll Tide to you too, man. All right, so I got that was good. So I'm gonna go to Malone's and have the Anthony Davis steak. All right, got it. Got a couple super chats to roll through, and then I'm gonna close it out. So first of all, thank you very much for supporting the show. I really appreciate you guys. Davis is asking thoughts on the Washington Huskies. I think that's the offensive coordinator that everybody wanted. Look, it's hard sometimes to believe in these Pac-12 schools just because like we've seen this so many times. The only team that I feel from that conference that is something real is USC. I guess Oregon, you know, they're making a lot of noise, but I mean, look, I think that Caleb Williams is a problem. I think that some of the athletes that they have are a problem. I think the offensive schematics are good. I think the schedule lines up well for them. Utah, clearly they have a good defense. A lot of the teams in the Pac-12, this is like the last hurrah. This is like the Alamo season, right? In the Pac-12, seems like all those teams are ranked. Isn't Oregon State ranked too? Seems like all those teams are ranked, but I think Washington is good offensively, and I think that's the guy that Saban wanted initially. Adam is asking, Kyle, I would love to see James Smith get more playing time. He's nasty. Yeah, some of those guys within the defensive rotation have been starting to get more reps, and I think that's good. Another guy was Damon Payne that people were talking about who was able to play against Ole Miss, so I appreciate the super chat and the continued support, Adam. And then David from Louisiana says, let Uncle Charles keep talking for the rest of the show. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think he does such a great job, and we'd love to have him as well as you, David. So with that said, I'm going to close out the show. Thank you very much for watching. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. Big day on Monday as you got Nate Oates press conference and some basketball footage. And then you got Coach Saban, Jalen Milroe up at the podium as we get you ready for another week of Alabama Crimson Tide football. Alabama takes on Mississippi State this Saturday in Stark, Vegas. ESPN time is 8 p.m. From beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, my name is Kyle Henderson. Before I go, I just want to say thank you so much for supporting the channel, hitting the subscribe button. We're almost to 100,000 subscribers, which is really amazing. A really big goal to get there. So I really appreciate you guys. And I hope that you guys know that I put a lot into the show. And I want to look presentable. I want to make sure that you guys have good audio and all the videos that are uploaded. I try to do my best to bring you the very best content when it comes to Alabama Crimson Tide football coverage. From beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, I hope you have a wonderful evening. I hope you made some time for your family tonight, and I will catch you on Monday right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Good night, everyone.